You're listening to the See the Unseen podcast, where our number one focus is creating a little visibility for people who deserve a whole lot of spotlight. I'm your host, Melissa Georgioff, and I'm here to share some amazing stories that can transform and inspire lives. So get ready to take those blinders off and see the unseen. Welcome to the podcast. I'm here this evening with country artist JD Shelburne. He is featured in today's country magazine, and he holds the number one video on CMT right now called Cars and Trucks. So welcome to the podcast, JD.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you having me on tonight.
Oh, I appreciate you taking the time and agreeing to talk to this small town country girl.
Of course.
So, JD, you and I met, a couple weeks ago when you were playing in Prairie Town, at Prairie Town Inn, right?
Yes. Yeah, I was a couple weeks ago. A couple of fans of ours that have become loyal fans, Bruce and Mary Lou Williams, actually booked our band to play their anniversary celebration. So we had never been to that town before. Didn't really know what to expect, and ended up having a great time and met you and a bunch of great people. So it was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, shout out to Ed Schultz, Ed Schutz,
Yes.
who owns Prairie Town Inn. I didn't know what was going on, and so I showed up on Sunday afternoon and was pleasantly surprised. They all know I love country music and friends with a bunch of different singer-songwriters, and you were up there singing your heart out. So you were just amazing. You did a great job. So
thank you so much. We had a lot of fun. Bruce and Mary Lou have followed us for 3 or 4 years, and they've told us about this place. Every so often they'll talk about it. You need to come to Prairie Inn. I'm like, where is it? And they told me about it, and I was like, well, maybe one day. And then one day, Bruce pulled me aside at a gig. They came to Vegas to a show we played, and he said, we want to book you for our anniversary gig at this place, Prairie Inn. I was like, okay, let's do it. So Ed and the crew up there, the bar, the owners, and the family up there just treated us wonderfully. So we had the best time up there with all Bruce and Mary Lou's family, and I never thought I'd get a podcast out of this. So thank you for showing interest.
Of course, yeah, and I never thought you'd be on my podcast. So it's fun. I'm glad that you were so nice and willing to do it. So tell me a little bit about where you're from, JD.
I'm actually from a little town called Taylorsville, Kentucky, right outside Louisville. I grew up there in a small town, very, very small town. We had one high school, like 3 churches. So we were probably 60 miles from Lexington and about 35 miles from Louisville. And so I grew up there on a tobacco farm, playing sports, didn't play any music until college. And that's kind of where my journey to Nashville starts. I was about 18 years old. So, but lived the small town life for 18 years, playing sports, just hanging out on the farm.
What sports did you play?
I played basketball and baseball at my high school. My high school was so small, we didn't even have a football team. So we played basketball and baseball my whole childhood. I mean, it's all I knew how to do, it seemed like. But yeah, I think we were one of the only high schools in the state that didn't have football at the time. We have football now, but at the time when I was in school, it was just baseball, basketball. So, but music was never even a thought until college. So I never dreamed I'd be doing this for a living and having videos on CMT and all this stuff. It's been kind of a whirlwind on how it started for me.
So would you say you never thought about music until you were in college? How did it all start?
So I graduated high school in 2001. And by this time, I knew I wanted to go to college. I didn't really know what I wanted to be growing up. I had a sports background. I'd had a couple of small offers for colleges to go, but I wanted to go to the University of Kentucky. A lot of my friends were going there. And I was a big Kentucky Wildcat fan, and it was in Lexington. It was close to home, and so it was kind of a win-win for me. And ended up enrolling into a community college there at first. A lot of my friends went to the on-campus community college. It was called Lexington Community College at the time, and so it was basically like my little high school and a college kind of. But once we got in college, we all kind of went our separate ways. But I actually ended up being there for a semester, and my grandmother back home suddenly passed away, and so I went home for her funeral. And it was an unexpected death. She wasn't sick. She just died in her sleep one night, and went home for her funeral and was home for about 4 or 5 days. And after her funeral, we ended up going down to her house. It was just like, what do we do with all this stuff? And my uncle was in town. And So we started boxing up stuff in the house. It was just we were stunned by her death and just didn't know what to do. And so we were just kind of going through photos. And I come across an acoustic guitar in her closet and kind of set it aside for a few hours and took it back to college with me the first day. I went back home after her death, and it sat in my dorm room for a while. And then one day I just picked it up and started trying to figure out chords and where to place my fingers. And once I started realizing I could switch back and forth on chords pretty quick, I can actually put together a song. I started singing a little bit. I mean, singing was kind of natural to me. I sang to the radio all these years on school bus rides at ball games, so I could sing a little bit, but not enough to where I would accompany myself with a guitar. And then one thing led to another. In between college classes, I started playing. Just never could. I got the itch for it, and never want to set it down. It kind of quickly became a hobby, and as my friends would come to our house, I ended up living in a dorm. Then I lived in a couple apartments and a house on campus. So I kind of moved around the next 3 or 4 years, and everywhere I went, I took that guitar, and we'd throw parties, and I'd play at the end, and then I started playing some club bars around Lexington, and that's kind of where I started branching out.
That is a crazy story. So you taught yourself to play guitar?
Yes. Never had a lesson. Nothing. Yes.
So how did that happen? Do you go on YouTube? What did you do?
No, I got on good. I don't remember YouTube being popular back then. I think it was just starting out. But I went on Yahoo.com and got on. You could type in if you had a favorite song, for instance, I'm trying to think of a song back then. Keith Urban had a song out called "Who Wouldn't Want to Be Me" at the time. It was like a #1 hit back then. And I remember you could go in and type in Google or Yahoo "Who Wouldn't Want to Be Me" chords, and literally someone would tab these songs and you tell you what chords to play. And I just had a good ear for music, so I could literally play to the radio and figure out what time to strum and how to switch the chords. And so that's kind of how it started for me. I just started really researching songs, some of my favorite songs on the radio, and then I'd sit around at the house where I lived, and my friends would come over and we'd play some of their favorite songs. And at the end of the day, I was the one that was providing music for everybody. We were sitting there singing. So, and then eventually I developed enough courage to get out of the house and actually try to play a couple of local bars. And I did that, and it went off without a hitch. And then so as I started playing shows, my popularity started rising slowly, and I'd get calls for other places. And I knew somebody that had a girlfriend that was a bartender, and I'd go to their bar, and then just friends would go to bars and put in my name, and I'd get calls eventually. So back then I was singing for free food. I was like, man, this is the life. If I can sing at a bar and get paid for a steak and fries and a Coke, this is awesome. So I had no idea you could make money doing this stuff, but started playing shows, and the fans started coming in. It was pretty amazing. That
is amazing. Yeah, just what a crazy story. And do you feel like it was your grandma that just something that was about, having that guitar at her house that was kind of a sign, this is what you're supposed to do, pick it up? And
at first I didn't think so, but now that I've done what I've done, I mean, absolutely it was meant to be. I mean, my uncle, the guitar I found out later in life that, I remember the guitar when I was a kid because my uncle had it. My aunt and uncle married in the 90s, and so we would go stay at their house on the weekends every now and then. I remember my uncle would get it out, and we'd play. My brother and I played with it at his house, and just strum on it or whatever. But I remember it when I was a kid. I remember it in their basement, and then it somehow found its way back to my grandmother's house and sat there for a decade or longer and collected dust. And so just never dreamed that I would once find this guitar again. It's wild. If I think way back to the early years, a Garth Brooks chord book came in the guitar case, and the first song was "Unanswered Prayers." I still have the chord book, so it's kind of like it was meant to be. I really do believe in that kind of thing, but it's just hard to believe that I found it after her death. I mean, gosh, she'd been tickled pink if I'd have done this when she was alive, but I'm not sure I'd ever done it when she was alive. There's no reason for me to find guitar until she passed. So it's kind of a crazy story.
What do you think what would she say today if she knew how successful you were or are?
I don't know. I think she would just be tickled. I mean, I just feel like she would just, I'm sure she'd brag on me all the time. She worked at a drugstore, pharmacy, and she worked there for years and years and years. And I just figured she'd probably tell everybody that came in the door to buy something. But it's just been a wild ride to know that, it took her death for me to find that I had this inside me to to be an artist. And, not only just singing, singing is 5% of this career. 95% of the career is hustling and promoting your name and building your marketing plan. And I mean, I hustle nonstop. When my wife's in bed at night, I'm up here on the computer making MailChimps to send out to my mailing list. I'm nonstop. And I feel like all that is kind of just bundled into one thing of just, finding the guitar and developing work ethic that's really taking me from A to B and get videos on CMT and playing 3,000 concerts like I've done. I've played over 3,000 shows and opened for all these acts. And so it's taken a lot of hard work and dedication, determination. And I feel like a little bit of all that's come from her. Just, you find something you like and you just roll with it, and hopefully it works out. And this did.
That's what I was going to ask you. Where does that come from? The work ethic? Is you would say it was your grandma?
Definitely my family. I grew up on a tobacco farm. My dad, worked as a principal in high school, retired. Then he went to work for another job at a gas company in town, going to retire from it. And at the same time, he's out mowing hay and raising tobacco and cattle. And it's like, my dad will live to he's 110, I swear. And I hope he does. But he just, my dad's a workaholic. So I feel like, a lot of that came from my parents. Everything we got in life, we had to earn. Nothing was given to my parents. Nothing was given to us. We had to earn everything. And, my grandma, my grandpa, which is my nanny's husband, he died when I was like 2 years old. So I never really knew him. So she lived by herself for, from his death, which is in like 80, his death in 83. And I think he died in 83, 84. So she lived by herself from that up to her death in 02. So she was a hard worker too, had to pay the bills, and she lived in a nice house and spoiled my brother and I as kids growing up. So a little bit of all family heritage work ethic that really kind of I've been able to pull from all different angles to shape me who I am today.
That's great. Now I know that you talked about your wife earlier, that you're working while she's sleeping. I got a picture of you and your wife here. Where is this?
Yeah, that's Amy Jo. She's my wife. We married in 2017. We've dated long before that. And that's us on the Unbridled Eve red carpet derby this year. We go to Unbridled Eve. They host us every derby. That's a gala before the Kentucky Derby that I perform at every year. And that we've been a part of this gala for, I'd say, like 6-7 years straight. And so they host us to Derby every year. And it's kind of a weekend for us to really spend time together and meet colleagues and friends and artists, and just I can just set my guitar down for the weekend. I do play a few songs, but it's not like I'm out on the road like we were in Illinois, where I'm meet greeting with fans and packing the trailer and shaking hands and kissing babies. But it's always a fun weekend doing Derby. I proposed her on the red carpet in 2016, so Derby's pretty special to us.
Oh, wow. How romantic. So, yeah. And I saw a couple pictures on your Facebook page, and it was, I think you were also trading jackets with somebody. Is that some kind of annual thing that you do?
It is. Yeah. My friend Rob Angel, who invented the board game Pictionary, we met at Derby years ago. And when I first started going to the Kentucky Derby, really no one knew who I was. I mean, people back home did, but national scale, no one really knew me. So one day I was talking to my wife. We were living in Brentwood at the time. I was like, I've got to find some way to attract interviews on the red carpet where people would ask me who I am and what the heck what am I wearing? So I started getting these custom blazers designed with like Kentucky Derby down the sleeve. I get them all rhinestone, different things. I would just do different things every year to make them different. And I still do that. And I've just been able to meet a lot of people. And as my popularity has risen, that's kind of helped me on Derby week. But I met this guy named Rob who invented the board game Pictionary, and he was just enthralled by man, your suit coats are amazing. Can I try one on? And so every year I see him at Derby, he's always like, okay, brother, we got to do the jacket change. And so we do it. His jackets are like size small, and I'm like a large, so it's like fat guy in a little coat, but it's always fun. I think the video I put online this year got 100,000 views. I'm like, who would have thought this stupid little jacket trade would get 100,000 views on a reel, but it's all fun. We have a good time.
How fun. And he invented Pictionary, you said?
He did. Yeah. He invented the board game Pictionary. Him and I were a part of a gala together, and, we just hit it off as friends one year, and he followed me to the red carpet when I proposed to Amy. He actually, I was having him taking photos. He was going to be taking photos before she even knew it was going to happen, and we kind of became friends real quickly. And And he's in college. He invented the board game Pictionary. That's how he made his living. So he goes around and tells a story and signs Pictionary board games. And he was invited to Derby as a celebrity guest. So he's a great guy.
How fun! My mom passed away in 2010, but when she was alive, when we played Pictionary, she would, we got really tired that my brother and his wife were beating us, and she would never cheat. But then I started like writing in shorthand, and all of a sudden she knew how to write in shorthand, and I wrote diamond ring, and she's like, diamond ring. I'm like, they're like, you guys are cheating. That's my Pictionary story. How awesome. And these suits are amazing. And I love the Derby. I've never been to it. And I once got invited from a customer, but we weren't supposed to attend with customers, so I couldn't go. But the jackets are amazing. And I know a friend of mine in St. Louis, he makes custom jackets. So if you ever need a really, he makes them for like all these celebrities and everything. So if you ever need a really good jacket for the Derby, let me know.
I'm actually running out of like ideas, so I'm definitely gonna have to get your contact from him for this coming year. So it'd be nice to have someone else do the work for once.
Yeah, for sure. They're national and they give back to charity, and they're a really good organization. But yeah, I'll get you his information.
Yeah, absolutely.
So so we talked about how you got started in the business, but what inspired you? I mean, you pick up this guitar, you start playing, what's your why? Like, why do you want to perform? Why do you want to be this country artist?
I just, it's just been, every day I wake up, it's just like I don't know, someone new's commented on my page, or I've got new fans, or I've sold merch. It's like something different every day. I've got a new gig coming in. I just love the constant, I never got bored with it because I've been able to stay busy with playing shows and just the fans. I mean, the fans base that I've built through the years has just been remarkable. I mean, I remember, when I first started Facebook in college, and you could only have Facebook if you had a college email. And at the time, MySpace was the music website. You could play your songs, and MySpace at the time was the only way it was a great promo tool. But Facebook wasn't that popular then. Well, then when MySpace went by the wayside and Facebook opened up to worldwide, it's like you could create your own fan page. And so that fan page I've been on every single day since college. I have never not went one day without putting something on my post, blocking scammers, responding to fans. And so I think I still enjoy that, and I hope I don't ever lose that, because I feel like if I get tired of the fans and I get tired of commenting on Facebook, that's when I'll probably hang the career up. But I've been doing this professionally since 2008, and I've not gotten bored yet. I mean, sometimes the wear and tear of the road does wear on me. We have a son that's 3 now, so he'll be starting T-ball in kindergarten. I'm not going to want to miss ball games and stuff, but I'll cross that bridge when I get there. But I still love the fans. I've done this without a record label my whole career. I've never had one label interest. And so I've been able to really create my own label and make enough money to really sell this ship and support my family and, do this career as well. I put out 6 albums, all funded by me, no one else. So never asked the fans to pay for a dime. And I really take pride in that. I told myself I'm going to start this music career. I don't want to depend on anybody else. I'm going to teach myself how to play an instrument. So if someone cancels on me last minute, I can still accompany myself. If I want to pay for my record, because when I sell it, I want to keep the profit. I don't want to split that with anybody. So I've been able to navigate and figure out. What's that?
You don't want to be Taylor Swift.
You're right. Yeah, I don't want people owning my music and merch, and I didn't want to be in a band. I wanted to be my name only, and that was the LLC, and that was it. I didn't want to have a duo, a trio, or a 4-piece group, because then you had to split money 4 ways, and it gets kind of weird. And but so I've been able to sustain a great career, and I'm just very happy where I'm at right now with my family and my career and where my music's at. I mean, I never thought I'd ever have a video on CMT. We've had 8 in a row, so it's been pretty wild.
Well, let's talk about this video, because I know that viewers are going to want to hear this. I didn't know if you were going to play for us tonight or not, but I've got a picture here, and this is you. I think this is from the Cars and Trucks video. Is that right?
Yeah, that is from Hometown of My Headlights video. I had to think about it for a second. I shot a video called Hometown of My Headlights. Was the #2 video on CMT back in 2022 or 3. And we shot that at a diner down the road. And the whole point, that car that I'm sitting in was actually just a guy driving by the video shoot, saw the video cameras and the lights going crazy, and stopped in and says, "Hey guys, we have a car you can use if you want to use it. I'll go home and get it." And he told us about it. He brought it back and let us use his car for the video. And I'm taking photos inside of it before we left and took it home. So it was just luck. I mean, pretty cool story.
That's awesome. I remember like Bon Jovi's said that like the Slippery When Wet, they were like, they didn't have any money, and then they just write Slippery and Wet and took a picture of it, and that it was their album cover, you know?
That's great.
Pretty cool.
I didn't know that story.
Yeah. So I've got a little video clip of your CMT video, but it's really short. So I'm going to play it real quick though. And you won't be able to talk during the video, but it's really quick.
Play part of it. I'm going to turn my alarm off.
Okay. So here's the song, and I'm going to play some of the lyrics because what a great song. First of all, I love the video. It was funny because I'm telling my husband tonight, I'm like, look, you got to watch the video. And he's like, all right, show me the video. And he's watching it and he's like, you know, I could see him tapping his foot and everything. And then all of a sudden he's like, this is a good song. And he's like, he goes, there's a lot of metaphors in this song. You know, it kind of reminds me of, you know, it's in a graveyard and it's about living and dying and time passing by. And I'm like, dang, you got a lot out of that. But it's true. The lyrics are amazing. First of all, did you write the song, or who's the songwriter on this?
I did not write the song, no. A guy named Jace Hines wrote this song with about 3 other writers. I love this song. It was pitched to me right after my last record came out. I was just listening to songs one day, and I just loved the song title. I just thought Cars and Trucks. I mean, I knew it was going to be a great song when I first heard it. But it's just not the title. That title has to pull me in first, and then I listen to songs a lot. But no, I didn't write the song, but I was just so grateful to record it. And when the videographer actually, we got together on where we're going to shoot this video, how we're going to make this song come to life, he's like, let's go to a junkyard or like a car lot and like let the cars tell the story. I was like, man, that's brilliant. So we found this car lot in Nashville this repo lot, actually, of a bunch of wrecked and burned up cars. And I wish you could smell the lot that we were there. And it was very eerie.
Really?
Just the burnt cars smell and wrecked cars and smell of rubber burnt there. I mean, it kind of gave you a whole new meaning of the video, which is kind of an eerie feeling of just, you know, the people surviving these cars, they're wrecked, they're mangled up. And I really thought that the video just really brought the song to life and just knocked it right out of the park. And I was just really grateful for how it turned out.
Yeah, for sure. My dad, I used to go to the junkyard. My dad, for whatever reason, that's our memory, is that my dad worked on these trucks all the time and cars, and he'd always take me to the junkyard with him to find different parts. And and then he was also the repo man. So, you know, as he got older, he went and repoed cars, and he loved it. He was like, that's an adrenaline rush.
It is.
But yeah, so the lyrics though, I mean, so did he say why he wrote the song, or what was he thinking when he wrote the song?
I never found out. No, I that's the question I should have asked him. But you know, there's just so many great songs in Nashville that are not recorded yet. I mean, I've got dozens of songs from songwriter friends. You know, my old neighbor is a number 1 hit songwriter. I just played a show with him in Milwaukee. His name's Mark Nessler. He's written 10 number 1s, and he sent me dozens of songs that were never been recorded. I'm like, this is a smash hit. I mean, like, wow. And so there's songs like that laying around all over Nashville. You know, it's just wild how many songs. I love to know how many songs are written a day in Nashville. You know,
I know.
Gotta be hundreds. And so I was lucky enough to snag that one before anybody else got it.
Yeah, it's amazing song. And so when did you find out that you were number 1 on CMT?
I think I found out, gosh, it's a good question. When I was in Prairie Town, I want to say I was like number 2. And then gosh, I don't know. It was at a gig. I was on my way to a gig when I found out. Oh, I know what it was. No, I know what it was. So I got home from Prairie Town, and the countdown comes out every Friday. And when I got home from Prairie Town, I was laying in the bed. I was on my phone, like scrolling social media, and someone had commented on my Facebook and says, "Oh my gosh, you made it to #1." And they took a screenshot of that, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And so my wife and I kind of celebrated for about 2 seconds, and then we went to sleep. But it was a cool moment. My fans let me know everything. So someone tagged me, a fan tagged me and let me know, and so I was able to, I was able to promote it on socials the next day, and the people watched the countdown. So it was a cool moment. I did.
That's funny.
I was hoping I'd get #1. I was #2 for like 4 weeks in a row, and I'm like, surely God, I'll be a #1 song, hopefully, and it finally made it. So.
Well, I hope you celebrate more than your, 2 seconds with your wife. I hope that you guys go out and do something super fun.
Oh yeah, man, we go out and celebrate. We eat more than we should. We go out and celebrate dinners and steaks and hang out with our son. And so we usually always go out and eat somewhere to celebrate something like that, a milestone in music, or if she does something, we celebrate too. So that's kind of our celebration. Is of course we have vacations planned in the fall, so we'll definitely celebrate the beach. So I'm sure of it.
So where are you going on vacation?
Well, we're going to Destin, Florida. We're going to Pensacola. We're going to Hilton Head. We're going to Vegas. We're doing 4 vacations this fall. So we will celebrate.
Very fun. So when you have a #1 video on CMT, what's that mean to you? Is that, do you get paid for the video every time it plays, or how does that work?
I don't really get paid for the video, I don't think. It may be wrapped up in other paychecks I get, through social media, like through YouTube views and CD sales and stuff like that. But it's just another feather in my cap. It's great to have for promo. That one thing about having a #1 video that I've learned, it allows me to go back. It allows me to create a newsletter to put out and say, hey, Shelburne reached #1 on CMT. I send that out to my to all my mailing list, and then I'm also able to go into bookings that are still kind of on pending route that I haven't been able to secure. So I'll go into my email, and my team will sit down, and we'll each go and say, man, let's forward this out to this so and so fair that hasn't booked us yet. Let's let them know that we have #1 video and secure me now. And so I have a team of about 2 or 3 people that will sit down and we'll start dishing out emails. And so I'm able to use that as really a tool to say, hey, look, this guy's #1 on CMT, freaking book him, And so that's helped a lot. But it's really just a bragging right to have in my one sheet and interviews like this, to really just get me out some more in front of your listeners, and which ends up getting shows, making me a living, and hey, hopefully get some more money, and be able to just keep this train rolling down the tracks.
That's right. So what would success look like for you? Do you feel like you've reached the top of your success, or do you feel like when will you just say, you know what, I've made it. I'm super happy. What would that look like for you?
I think I've already made it. I mean, people ask me that, man, when are you going to make it big time? I'm like, everyone has a different definition of that. I mean, to me, it's, if you're able to make a living doing something you love, I think that's pretty much you've made it. And I've been able to sustain a pretty good career doing this without a label. I mean, obviously, I don't think I'm at the top of my pinnacle, but selling out a stadium or an arena or having a #1 smash hit would definitely be the top. I've never played the Grand Ole Opry yet, and I'm hoping that'll happen in the near future. I mean, that'd be the pinnacle. Like, hey, like I can probably hang my career up and retire if I've been able to play the Opry one time or something. But I've been able to actually financially do really well, and I never thought you could make any money in the music business when I first started playing guitar. And so in my position, where I'm at right now professionally, I really feel like I've already made it. Just, being able to sustain this as long as I have. And, I have people work for me every day that I pay. I mean, I feel like I'm feeding people. I feel like I've got like 5 people that work for me every week that, my hard work and dedication depends on if they get paid or not to feed their family. So, in my own mind, I feel like I've already made it. I mean, this is just the rest of this from going forward is just icing on the cake, and I'll do this as long as I can.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you're doing it for all the right reasons, right? You're doing something that you love. You're helping other people that are working for you make a living. You're doing it for your fans. The fans love you, and you love the interaction that you have with your fans, and then you're making a good living for it with it.
Yeah.
So, like, those are all things that make something successful. So that's awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of my friends, back during the pandemic had to move home because they just didn't make a living at the music business, and I was so sad for them. I'm like, gosh, I hate to know that I fell short of my dream because I just didn't make enough money to do it. And I mean, I obviously had to make ends meet. When I first started, I worked, insurance jobs, and had a job that would pay my insurance. So I didn't have, I obviously have to have insurance, health insurance, and all that kind of stuff. But I'd hate to know that I had to move home because I just wasn't successful enough to pay the bills. So luckily, I've been on the complete opposite end of that spectrum and have just worked my butt off to get where I'm at today. And I don't plan on slowing down anytime soon. And I'm still very humble and very grateful for people that spend their hard-earned money to come see me. I've got a big show this weekend in Indiana at a casino, and it's actually near my wife's hometown. And so I've got lots of fans coming from hours away. I know Bruce and Mary Lou, who you just met in Prairie Town, they live in St. Louis. They're driving probably 5 hours to this gig Saturday night and spending money on my show, tickets to the show, and hotel rooms. And I've got countless fans that do this. And so, just all that stuff just makes me so grateful for real fans. You're not just a number in my fan base. I like to get to know people. And I just started a fan club in February. So I have fan club members that follow me that we do monthly Zoom calls. And so it's been a lot of fun just to figure out new ways to get closer to fans and build everything.
How fun is that? So how do you get on your fan club? Let everyone know how does that happen?
It took us forever to figure this out. The hardest part of the fan club was not what we're going to give the fans. It's how are we going to collect people's credit cards every month and not have to Venmo us every month and chase down people. We want people to be able to put their credit card in the payment on the website, join monthly or join yearly, and just take them there. So my tour manager, Bradley, who you met selling merch at Prairie Town, he was able to find this program that was able for us to charge people's credit cards. So basically, we have a monthly fee. You can get on our website. You'll see the scrolling banners on the website. You can click on the fan club. It'll take you down. You can put in your info and join my club. And we do bi-weekly fan clubs. We do a Zoom call every 2 weeks with all the fans that can get on and chat. We're actually doing an after party at the casino this weekend. It's going to be a free entry, free food and everything. For fan club members only, they get a T-shirt after 3 months. They get a lanyard. They get a lanyard the first day they join, and they get a lot of perks along the way. Christmas parties. We just did a summer picnic, and so it's been really cool to see people join the fan club. They're, paying me to be a part of it, and we're able to, kind of give them some incentive back to make them so like, hey, we're not wasting our money joining this JD Shelburne fan club for nothing. But it has been a lot of fun. So we just started that in February. We've got several members, and it's been great to get to. It's really a neat way to get to know people that you may not really know.
That.
Yeah, and it's like they wear their shirts to the shows, they wear their lanyards, so you give them. It's like I give them a little bit special attention when they're members. I feel like I give them a hug, or I'm like to maybe talk to them longer and just tell them thank you for their membership and support. So I've really learned a lot as an artist to like really take pride in fan club members because they spend their money on just wanting to be a part of your something a month. So it's been grateful for me to do this. So thanks to Bradley for finding this program that could get this thing going.
Yeah, Bruce just could not stop talking about you, and he was like, he is probably your biggest fan. But it was so awesome that he, had you come into this small little town and play when you're the superstar. And here he had, you come in and you play for him and his wife for their anniversary, and how sweet was that? And he said he's the most humble guy and just the most, kind person that you'll ever meet. So he had such wonderful things to say about you as well.
Very sweet.
And if you look, I've got a picture here of your fans. So where is this?
That was now that's a pretty special picture you found there. That's actually my last year's hometown show. I go back to my hometown of Taylorsville every 2 years and do a free concert to celebrate an album release. So that's in the smack dab middle of Main Street. We raise sponsorship money to really bring in that picture you showed there as a stage and sound. We bring all that in from Nashville, and we set up a block party. And it's been incredible turnouts. I mean, the 2021 was about 8,000 people that showed us my hometown.
8,000 people?
Yes, I was almost able to pay off my record with merch sales on the 2021 show with one day of sales. They bought that many albums. It was amazing. Now, 2023, last year's show was not as big. It was pretty dang close, but it was just like 102 degrees the whole day. So we thought the heat kept people away. But it was still a monster crowd. I don't think we probably had 5,000 people, 4,000 people there, but it was an amazing day. But yeah, that's my hometown, Taylorsville, Kentucky, right in the smack dab middle of Main Street.
So when you say pay off your record, explain to the listeners, what does that mean? Do you take a loan out when you start to record? Like, how does that work?
So basically when I'm cutting an album, you got to go get it. You got to pay the session players. You got to pay to be mixed. You got to get it mastered. You got to get the album design, artwork done. You got to do the final vocals, and you got to get it, mastered, all that stuff. But it takes a lot of money. I think my 2023 record cost me about $23,000, and I just pay a little along the way. I cut 3 or 4 songs at a time, and I'll cut the final vocal. Then about 3 weeks later, 4 months later, I'll cut 3 or 4 more songs or 2 songs, and I just try to cut it a little at a time throughout the year. So it's not $27,000 in one weekend, because that could damper all of us. But I've never taken a loan out to cut a record. I've always just paid myself back and paid a little bit along the way. So it's just not so much at once. So in the process of recording this album, I'm playing shows on the road, so that helps paying the album as I go. But I was able in 2023, my hometown show, they would almost pay the record off of the merch sales. So it was a crazy moment. So I've got a lot of diehard fans that aren't scared to spend any money and buy my album. Even these people that may not have a CD player in the car, they're still buying my CDs just for me to sign them. So I got real fans, I must say. So, but yeah, the record business is not cheap. The last few years I've done 10-song albums. If you do a 5-song EP, you're only going to spend $10,000 probably. But I've tried it different ways, and I think I've had more success on the albums with more songs.
That is crazy. I just can't believe that you're singing, you're playing, you're doing business development, you're marketing, you're on Facebook every single day, you're posting. I mean, like, when do you even sleep?
I don't know. Yeah, I sleep from about 1 to 12 at night to about 7 in the morning. Usually.
So who are your
water? What's that?
Thank God for what?
For fitness and drinking lots of water. So
so I don't know when you work out. I guess you work out on the stage.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I have another picture here. What is this?
So
is this another album cover?
That's another photo, which has become my kind of a trademark photo. It's on my trailer that we wrapped. It's wrapped. It's on a couple of merch items. That's the same car that you showed the photo the first time from the video, Homecoming of My Headlights. That's the same car. I'm just sitting in the front of it. So this guy that shot the video just took some photos of me that day. I didn't plan on using any of this stuff for any marketing. And one day, like 8 months later, sending me photos like, "Oh, hey, I shot these of you. It's just, you thought you might like them." I'm like, "Are you serious, dude? These photos are freaking awesome." And so that was about the time I was getting tired of my old photos. You get tired of photos. I'm sure you do too. You take photos for your podcast. You get tired of looking at the same photo. And so you change your look, your hair, whatever. You want something new. So that was just the new
my daughter's like, "Mom, you got to change your photo. Like, you look so different now." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I'll get to it." But let's talk about the hair, JD. Okay, because I saw some pictures of you, like old pictures, and you've got this like long hair. You look completely different, and now you've got this kind of like slick back look going on. Kind of reminds me of what's the duo? The Dan and Shay, like a little bit of like Dan and Shay look going on.
Yeah, I had long hair.
But I like the new hair.
Thank you so much. Me too. I'm glad the old hair's gone. But when I was in college, I started growing my hair out long. I had it down to my shoulders actually, and then I met my wife, and it was long for I think 16 or 17, still 16 or 17. And I hired a publicist, actually, a lady in downtown Nashville. I didn't hire her very long, but I hired her for a little while. And about the best advice she gave me was she sat me down in the truck one day. She said, you ought to cut your hair. Let's change your look. Let's change your image. I was like, are you freaking crazy? I've been growing my hair out for 10 years. I ain't cut my hair off. And so one day she's like, no, I got the perfect person who's going to cut your hair. She cuts Carrie Underwood's hair and Alan Jackson's hair, Brad Paisley's hair. She's like, she's the celebrity, the star, or she called it the barber celebrity or something. She can make your stuff look wonderful. So I took her advice and we went over to Brentwood to the place to get my hair cut. I don't think I told my wife at the time. And sitting in the barber chair and just snipping my hair off. And I was like, I felt like I was getting younger as she started cutting hair. And it's laying on the floor. And I took a picture and sent it to my wife. And I was like, oh my gosh. And she's like, where are you? And I was like, I'm at the barbershop, or it's a salon. And she's like, I'm on my way. And so she showed up at the salon and was like, what are you doing? And she's like, and she ended up loving it. So I remember when I put a picture online of just the hair on the floor. And I was like, I'm changing my look on Facebook. It had thousands of hits. It was unbelievable. The amount of people that like that Facebook post reached, and people are just so like ready to see the change, you know? And so I just still remember my wife's face when she walked in the door and was like, what the hell are you doing? And so it was a really big move for me to change my look. Of course, cutting my hair, I had to change all my photos and everything. So it was an
you have to update
change.
everything.
Yes.
Well, I had a boss that used to give me a lot of trouble and joke with me because I had always tell everyone, well, I got best hair in 1989 when I graduated high school. And I was like, that's a big deal. He goes, Melissa, you tell people that you got best hair in high school more than you talk about payer contracting. But hey, hair is important. There's nothing better than a good hair day.
I can tell you have good hair.
Well, I've had a little help here. This isn't all mine. Thanks. So, all right, JD, let's talk a little bit about your strengths and weaknesses. I want to know what strengths you have that make you believe that you're a great musician. What do you think is the best strength that you have? I mean, you have all these different things going on, like your marketing and you're singing and doing all these things, but what's the greatest strength you have?
I've got really high self-esteem, good confidence. I can sing in front of anybody now. I've done it so much. There's really no crowd. I'm nervous at a lot of my shows, but I'm never not too nervous and not perform to be confident in what I do for a living. But I'm very confident. Got high self-esteem. I've always had that, but you really have to build on that as you become more successful in the business. Because the higher you get on the totem pole of success, the more people try to pull you down and tell you people you suck and you can't sing worth a damn. And I've been through all that. Haters back home and people I grew up with, see them comment negative stuff on Facebook, and it's just I have to kind of bite my tongue and not say a word, but you don't forget. But, just being able to swim through those rough waters of just getting past the negative. And I've been able to be confident enough and having high self-esteem to really just nip that stuff in the bud and keep on rolling, and luckily I've been able to, stay confident, stay in the right lane and keep succeeding. So, that's
crazy when you get those trolls on social media. What is it that you tell yourself, like what is it that you do that helped you build that confidence?
Just ignore it. There's been times I want to write people back. There's nothing worse than seeing someone you grew up with say you suck. But at the same time, it's like you're doing better than them. You see them later in life and you're like, I've just had so many stories where I've secretly helped somebody that talked bad about me, and those are rewarding moments for me. But I grew up in a small town, and I feel like sometimes, majority of people want to see you succeed, but there are that some few that don't. And, you made it farther than they did. So obviously it hurts, but finding a way to get around that, to ignore haters is really, really tough. And I tell people that I see on Facebook that are way behind me, that are just starting to get into the haters. And it's like, you just gotta move on. Some of my people that I follow, college basketball coaches and athletes, like I don't see them on their social media putting down haters. You know, they just don't say nothing. And I eventually learn from that. You know, like, and I just taking advice well. So I think just being able to be strong and just ignore the negative is really important in my business.
Sure. Yeah, I remember watching a podcast of I got to meet Chase Rice. He actually came to a friend of mine who's a lobbyist in Wisconsin, and he was there for my birthday and like literally sang in the living room and saying happy birthday to me, which was super cool. But
cool.
He was telling a story about he was singing on this big stage, and he looks down and he sees this really big guy, and he just looks at him and just is like has his arms like crossed like this, and he's frowning, and then he just like throws him the bird. Okay. And Chase was like, he goes, I just sat there and I was like, dude, like, what is your problem? And he's like trying to sing, and he's like, this guy's getting up all in my head. And I'm thinking, here's this Chase Rice, as successful as he's been, and he's sitting here like worried about this dude in the front row, giving them, this hate stares. And it's like, so it doesn't matter who you are. It's like there's gonna be some haters out there, right?
Oh, yeah.
But you just got, like you said, it's better to ignore it. I remember the first time I even did a podcast and I put my phone number out there, and it was like I got this really weird call. This guy was saying some things that I was like, oh, I just hung up real quick. I was like, I don't even want to do this. I'm like, I'm going to have some weirdos, people reaching out to me. I'm like, I'm not doing this. And my husband was like, yes, you are. Just like, you got to ignore it. So, I get it. It's you got to ignore the haters. But in your case, I'm sure you don't have many of those people. They're just jealous.
Yeah, jealousy is the root of all evil, man. I tell you, I've got a lot of great stories that I'll hopefully share in a book one day, but of how I've been able to get from here to Nashville and sustain a career and make a living. But I do have a lot of funny stories of jealous people that have tried to tear me down, and it's great. It's always even greater when you see their wife in the merchandise line buying merch. It's great.
Exactly. So, yeah.
It is. But those kind of people just make you want to work harder. So
that's right. So JD, I know you too. You've also been touring with the Oak Ridge Boys, right?
I recorded with them last year. I did play a show with them before Joe passed. I've never really toured with them, but they have kind of taken me under the wing. Got to record with them on my new album, and I was their special guest one night at the State Fair in my home state of Kentucky. So it was a huge, huge night. Yeah, I think I still have this right here is the picture of it. This is a photo that the photographer took of us. I was actually shaking their hand as I was walking on the stage to sing with them. That's Richard and William.
How
Lee.
cool is that?
Joe's on the left side. He keys out of the picture, but I had to frame that photo. The photographer gave me that, so it was a really big moment. I just walked out on stage. And they just introduced me to the crowd, my hometown fans. It was pretty neat. So.
Yeah, and you were singing Amazing Grace, I saw on one of the videos with them, right?
Yes, yeah. We recorded Amazing Grace on my record, and they brought me up to sing that song in front of my hometown crowd. So it was a huge moment for me. I mean, just wow. I still get coachy thinking about it. Joe Bonds was the reason all this happened. He passed away about a month or so ago, and forever grateful for him, what he's done for me. Promote me and getting me in with the group, getting the other three guys to record with me. They didn't charge me a dime to record, just showed up graciously at the studio in 4 different cars, took time out of their day from their families to spend an hour and a half, 2 hours with me in the studio to cut Amazing Grace. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that from Country Music Hall of Famers. So I'm in debt of happiness and love from the Oak Ridge Boys forever. So I'm very grateful. I'll talk about them forever. I
love the Oak Ridge Boys for sure. And Bradley sent me one other picture I want to throw up here. It's now, where were you when you were playing this?
That was Hometown Show. Yeah, that was Hometown Show 2023. That's on the opposite side view. The fire department brought their flag out behind the stage. So that is on the left side of the stage, looking at the fire truck behind the stage. They put that thing up. It was in all the photos. It's a beautiful, beautiful image. But that was Hometown Show last year. Yeah, I still remember that outfit I wore.
Awesome. And so what would you say was your favorite performance out of all the performances, 3,000 performances that you've done?
Probably, gosh, I'd say it probably about a 3 or 4 way tie. I'd say 2021 hometown show was a big deal. Oak Ridge Boys State Fair was pretty incredible. Gosh, I played this festival in Louisville called Hometown Rising, and Tim McGraw was a headliner, and it was like there was like literally 10,000 people at our show, and that was a pretty huge moment. It was I was like the only local guy that was picked to be on the show, and so Tim McGraw was like later that night, but I got to be on this festival. Huge crowd. Oh my gosh, huge. It was a big moment, and probably the first time I ever got to sing the anthem or God Bless America on a NASCAR race on NBC. I got to do that a few times, and that was pretty nerve-wracking and fun because not only was I doing it live, I was actually playing in front of a national TV audience, which was huge. So pressure was on.
Yeah, and that's a very hard song to sing.
Yes. I just did it in Milwaukee 2 weeks ago at a Brewers game. I was like kind of nervous. 45,000 people on a Thursday 1:00 game at the Brewers Stadium. I was like, gosh. And,
oh my gosh! So how many is that? The largest crowd that you've sang in front of?
I've sang in front of larger crowds, but I have to think back. I did a Christmas show one time. It was in front of like a whole city. It was huge. But 45,000 is probably it's up there. That's definitely one of the bigger crowds I've sang in front of. But I mean, it was just unbelievable. A full stadium full of people. It was just wild. But
and do you get nervous before you get out?
Oh yeah. I was real nervous at the Brewers game because I hadn't done the anthem in a while, and of course the anthem came out a few months ago, and it was it had such a negative response by a country artist, and I was like, oh gosh, if I screw this up, I'll definitely be all over Fox News in the morning or Today Show or something. And so the good thing about when I did the anthem at the Brewers game is they had the words on the screen out there, so I could actually follow the words. So I tried not to look at the words because it was very tricky. It was like a second delay, so I didn't want my brain to like lose concentration and sing the wrong words. I was just in the motion and sang it, and luckily it was fine. So I've sang it a lot, and so it's kind of embedded in my brain. So I know like where to take the breaths and what words up next. So it's just funny how your brain it's like muscle memory. You know what song, what words next. So I was able to nail it. So
that's awesome. How cool.
It was cool.
So
yeah. The only part that wasn't cool was I was actually had a Brewers jersey, and I went out after I sang the anthem. I went out and got a hot dog and dripped ketchup all down in front of the jersey because I was eating the hot dog.
Oh, no.
That was the only part that wasn't cool.
Oh well, you're human, right?
Right.
So JD, with all of this that you've done, what legacy do you want to leave? When you're gone, what do you want people to remember you about?
Just how I treated the fans, how I worked hard at the music business to be remembered. Hopefully my music lives on forever and people still listen to me 20, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, 50 years from now. And how I help people, how I able to give back to my community, and able to give to the less fortunate, and just how I treated fans. I want to be remembered for how I treated the fans. I mean, I've really taken a lot of pride in that. Shaking every hand, signing every autograph, at every single meet and greet. I sign every last person, every show. It doesn't matter how late or what. Fans have been important to me since day one. So I'm hoping that people remember that when my life is over, and how my career's made me really happy, and this has enabled me to do anything I've wanted and give my family anything they wanted. So just how I've been able to reach my dreams of my personal goals and stuff on my own without anybody's help has been very monumental for me. So I'm hoping that I'm remembered for that.
Well, that you are a class act, JD, and I'm sure that your fans will just appreciate how kind you are, and taking the time to sign autographs and taking the time to give them a hug and talk to them after a show, especially after you've, sang your heart out. So how awesome is that? So I want to, first of all, I want to just thank you so much for doing this interview. I just am honored that you took all this time with me. I want to make sure that the viewers get your information. So if they want to reach out to you or become one of your fans on Facebook or part of your fan club, what all platforms are you on, and how can they reach out to you and support what you're doing?
Yeah, first of all, I'm honored that you had me. So I appreciate you having me on your podcast, and it's been wonderful talking to you. And I enjoyed meeting you at the show for a split second. So thank you for having enough interest to pull me on here. So, but yeah, your fans can check me out at my website, jdshelburne.com. Google my name, JD Shelburne. And there's tons of stuff out there on the net about my career chase, all my music and videos and merchandise you can buy if you're interested. And we do everything from signed lyric sheets to keychains to whatever. So just follow us on Spotify and Facebook, all socials, and would love to earn some of your fans. And maybe the next time we play Prairie Town, I'll see all of you guys, including you. Hopefully Bruce will bring us back in 2025 or something, because we had a lot of fun that night. So they treated us great. And we love meeting new people on the road. That's what keeps us going. That's what I mostly love about this career, is meeting new people every single day I wake up, whether that be on social media or at the gas station or at the Bubba Coo Burritos down the road that ask me what I do for a living. I tell them I'm an artist, and they'll find on my website. So there's always a way to tell people about what I do for a living. And so love to earn a few more fans from your listeners.
I love it. Thank you so much, JD, for being on the podcast. And if you're watching the podcast and you want to find out a little bit more about See the Unseen podcast, I'm on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcast, Amazon as well. So, and Facebook. So thank you so much again, JD. It's an honor. I really appreciate you being on here.
Thank you. I'll tell you what, let's you smile real big. I'm going to take a screenshot so I can post on my Facebook that we talked tonight. So when you're ready, you ready?
Oh, cool.
Here we go.
Okay. Let's do it.
Hang on 1 second.
And I'm recording here. We're still live.
Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Perfect. All right.
Great.
I got a picture. So thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much, JD.
I look forward to seeing you down the road.
You too.
All right. God bless.